There are two main ways to export out a Revit detail so that it can be used in other projects. The first way is to do it if it's a drafting view. And in this case, that's what we have here on the screen, is that we have a parapet detail, and it is done in a drafting view. And if we look under the project browser, the only drafting view that we currently have is called Parapet Metal Coping Detail. What I'd like to do is now export this out so it can be used in another drawing file. To begin, we're just going to right-click on the title here in the project browser. And when we do, the second from the bottom option is called Save to New File. When we do this, it'll take it a few seconds to process the information that's inside of the drafting view. But when it does, it'll bring up another dialog box asking us where we want to save this drafting view to. And one thing you may notice is this is called a .rvt file. So it has the exact same extension as a normal Revit project would have. In your case, you can save this any place you'd like to save it to, as long as you can find it again. It could be to your desktop, it could be to C drive, wherever you feel like. In my case, I'm going to click here where it has the favorites folder because I know there's very little inside of it. Now I'm going to click on the Save button. We will be loading this into a new Revit project here in just a moment. The second way that you can take a drafting view or any kind of detailed view and then bring it into another project is to save it as a detail component or a detail group. In this case, I'm going to click up here and window around everything inside of this drafting view. Now, for what it's worth, this doesn't have to be a drafting view. This could have been a view where we've put in individual detail components in a wall section. This could have been a spot where we had detail components in a floor plan view. Any place where I could have selected on these items and grouped them together, we could export them out. Once they've been selected on like this, the next thing we want to do is actually save these as a detail group. And to do that, we're going to come up here on the list, and we can see on the ribbon, there's an option here called Create Group. If we select on Create Group, it'll ask what do we want to name this group. And I'm just going to name it Parapet. And I'll click on OK. From here, we can see that it's inside of this box, and what it means is that this entire thing is now a group. And now we can pick it up, move it, paste it, whatever it is that we want to do with it. But also, underneath the project browser, underneath Groups and Detail, and you may need to expand out the little plus right next to that in order to see these, you'll see that there is now a Parapet detail available to us. From here, very much like the drafting view, if we decide to right-click on the title, there's an option here that says Save Group. Right now, it's going to save it as the same thing as the group name, which means it's going to save this out as Parapet. And you notice that this as well is going to get saved out as a .rvt file. What I'd like to do now is find that same folder where we saved the other .rvt file to. In my case, it was favorites. And I'm going to click on Save from here. And just like before, it's going to take it a few seconds to process it, but now it's saving this out as a group instead of just a drafting view, and it's now going to be existing as a Revit file. Now that this is done, what I'd like to do is create a new project from scratch. I'm coming up to the upper left-hand corner and selecting on the big R. From here, highlight over New, and we're going to do a new project. From here we have Template File, and I'd just like to make sure that this says Architectural Template. When it does, we're going to click on OK. Now if we look under the project browser for this, we're going to notice that if we click the little plus next to Groups, there's nothing underneath Detail or Model Groups, and there are currently no drafting views loaded into this project. Next, come up here to the Insert tab, and from Insert, this command right here that says Insert from File. And if you click that option, the next one down is Insert Views from File. So select on Insert Views from File. From here, I'm going to go to that Favorites folder, and here we can see both of those .rvt files. I'm going to start off with the very first one that we created, which was that drafting view, and click on Open. It's going to ask, do we want to bring this in? And in this case, I'll click on OK to that. We'll give it a few seconds to process, and then in just a moment, we're going to see that we have a new drafting view brought into our Revit project. This is the one that we exported out, and if we look over here at drafting views, there's that Parapet Metal Coping detail. It's named the exact same thing as what the previous drafting view was named. Now, the other thing that we can do is, once again, come up here to the Insert, Insert from File, and there's Insert Views from File again. And when we do this, we can once again go to that same folder that we were in, pick the other one that we exported out. You notice that it is now a drafting view as well. And if we click on OK to this, it's just going to say that these detail items are already in the project. And if you want to overwrite them, just click on OK, and that's fine with me. And the reason why they were already in the project now, as opposed to a moment ago when we had the drafting view and we didn't get that message, is because they got brought in when this drafting view was brought into our project environment. But now we can see that we now have this drafting view, which is called Parapet, which was originally made from that group. So if we want to export out any of these groups that we've done, whether it be inside of a drafting view, or whether or not it's just drawn in a floor plan view or in a wall section or whatever the case may be, we have two different options to go about it. One way is, if it's a drafting view, to just right-click on the title of the drafting view and tell it to save to a new file. If it's not in a drafting view, you'll need to window around all those things you want to put into a group. Save it as a group. Then, down here underneath groups, you'll be able to right-click on it, save it out, then load it in to whatever project you need it in.